What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, and in this video we tackle the usual questions or bi-weekly questions, and we've got quite a few longer questions that require a little bit more of a detailed answer. So I'm going to make sure I take my time. I'm going to make sure I answer those thoroughly, and most importantly, they cover a lot of the same things that I've been seeing in the questions below. So let's go and do this. I'm fired up. I hope you are too. All right, so here we go. Here is number one question. Thanks for a wonderful video. I just started a drop shipping business. Do you have a program that mentors beginners? I just got my LLC registered, but Walmart is asking for tax information. Well, BTCY, it's a good thing you are not drop shipping on Amazon. As I always say, never drop ship on Amazon. It is a dangerous proposition, and more than likely, one of two things will happen, and possibly both will happen. Number one, you will get shut down no matter how old or brand new your account is. Now, the older the account is, the better. They'll allow it to stay open, but when you do get shut down, Amazon will take your money. They will do whatever it takes to keep that money, and they will never give it back. I've had several friends lose as much as $50,000 to Amazon. Amazon not ever having any intentions of giving it back, and the same will probably happen to you. I've also had over $6,000 caught up within Amazon, and I'm never getting it back. I kissed that sucker goodbye a long time ago. I could give two shits what Amazon does with it, but I will tell you, they are some criminals up there at Amazon, and a lot of people will tell you that. So Walmart, on the other hand, is a fantastic place to get started doing drop shipping. You do need a little bit of extra information, but a lot of people often misinterpret what they actually need. Walmart specifically asks you for your Amazon URL, which is not required. They also ask for a third-party store URL that is not required either. And then finally, they're asking for tax information. I think this is just your EIN number. That's all you need. You don't really need to provide them with any additional tax information other than that, but you do need to complete the W-9 interview, which is what I think you're asking about. So just go ahead and complete that. Answer it as honestly as possible. You will need to have a legitimate business in the USA. You do have an LLC, so you're all good there. So as long as you can supply them with that EIN number and a valid US address, you are good to go, buddy. So, all right, let's go to the next question. This one is from Julian Hanan Design. All right, Julie says, and it's Julie, it's not Julian, obviously I can't read too well. So, your videos are amazing. I have a question. There's a KDP author I've been keeping an eye on who published a book on November 16, 2020. At the time, there were 0 reviews, and over the past few weeks, I see the ratings increase 1 or 2 a day, and now just over a month, they're already at 17 reviews. I assume these reviews must be fake, since only 1 review they have written is written and unverified. However, this is obviously driving tons of traffic to their page, and now the book is under 20K. Do you know how they're getting so many reviews so quickly? Would love to see a video regarding this. So she linked this. Let's go ahead and have a look and investigate this a little bit further. All right, so here we have the book right here. And first things first, one of the key things that I actually notice is that it is running sponsored ads, which means they're spending a lot of money on sponsored products. And in order to verify that, let's just figure out how much they're spending. So I'm going to grab this ASIN. And while I'm not saying that this is the absolute best way to figure out how much money somebody is spending on sponsored products, let's give you some insight as to what exactly they're doing. Now, in order to do this, we can actually use Cerebro, should have that information. So I'm going to enter this product into Cerebro. I'm going to put the ASIN, I'm going to hit get keywords, and we're going to see what it pops up here. It's going to tell us what ASINs are sponsored as well as the sponsored rank, and we'll see a bunch of other information regarding it. So we are seeing that in the sponsored rank, it ranks here, and it's got quite a bit of good organic rank, but we can see that it's ranking pretty well in the sponsored listings, and you can see how many words they're actually running sponsored products for, because it'll rank for those particular sponsored products right here. And there, with over 10 to 50 pages of information, I mean, we could dive deeper into this. And on page 5, you can still see that they have some sponsored rank for a lot of these words. So they're running quite a few ads. So I would say, first and foremost, they have a very aggressive ad strategy. That's part of the reason why they are 18,000 in books. Now, if we do click into it, which I'm going to have to because I don't see it anywhere else here, so I'm going to have to click into this thing and charge them. Sorry. But it's by Caddy Press. So we're going to look at what some of their other titles look at and see if we can find anything else. But Caddy Press, they have 17 ratings, as you talked about. If we click into those, most of them are 5-star. There's only 1 that's written out. The rest of them are just ratings, which, I mean, they could be fake, they could not be fake. But at the end of the day, Amazon will usually only take these from really high level people. They won't accept a lot of them. So they had to have some kind of group that would allow to at least put a rating on there, which is pretty easy when you have under 25 reviews. A lot of FBA sellers actually do this, and they put a bunch of fake reviews on there. And when you'll really see it count towards their star rating is when you get past that. So they've got some ratings. Whether or not they're getting these by paid means and or a group remains yet to be seen. The other thing that I'd like to look at here is their Keep a Graph, and I'm going to turn off the Helium 10 one because I really don't like their extension at all unless I have to look up some numbers. But I'm going to let Keep a show me what they've got going on, and we'll let that load up here in a second. And the other thing that I want to look at is, are they selling anything else? So let's go ahead and click on their name and see what other books they have and see if the books that they have as well have achieved similar success. Before it actually pops up, which it has not popped up, we can see that they start off with one review, and they had one review for a couple days. They had this review for a couple days, about 6-7 days, and then they jumped up to 2 more, and they had that for a couple days, and then it's 2 more, and it looks like they've been dripping out reviews pretty well. So it does look like it's manufactured. It doesn't look natural whatsoever. You can see the stair-stepping action. So possibly they paid somebody to do this. Now if I click on this, it's for some reason not going anywhere. So let's see if we can find it by clicking on this link. They have quite a few other actual titles, so it does make sense that they'd have a second successful one. They do have the cat butt coloring book. So now the next step that I would actually do, knowing that they have several successful books, look at all these 33,000, 100,000, is I would start clicking into each individual book and seeing just exactly what that is. But they've got about 6 books altogether that are very successful. So now what I want to do is actually search their name on Google and see what pops up. If anything pops up, KDP Press on Amazon is right here. There's not much anywhere else, but let's go to Facebook now and see if we can find anything on Facebook regarding them. And I'm just going to search Facebook for KDP Press and see what pops up. This is just the press for some sort of city in Pennsylvania, so I don't really think it's that much. I'm going to go ahead and look at pages to see if there's any pages, and I don't see anything. I see a Russian page. I see the Chatty Press. I see Caddyshack. So I don't see a lot. And based on this, I can't really tell. So the next thing that I would want to do is investigate some of their most successful books by just clicking into each and every single one of these. I'd want to take a look at each and every single one of these and see if they have any sort of giveaway on the pages that show, and see if there's anywhere that they're directing me to, so I can potentially get on an email list or find out more information about them. So this one, we just got a cat butt for adults. Belongs to this person, such and such, and there's really nothing that I see here that would take people to an actual lead magnet of any type of sort. So let's look at the one that we were questioning, which is this llama one. If we click into this llama one, let's see if we can find anything on this llama one that would tell us that they're sending us somewhere or trying to collect our information and then promoting all things. But I don't think this one's so new that it only has 2 pages on there. So let's see if we can find another older one. Let's go with this mindfulness coloring book, which we talked about in another video, and I think it only has just that image. So as you can see, the other books don't have a lot. This mindfulness one has 2 reviews. The cat butt one has 900. This one has 9, and these are quite older. This one has 377. So they do potentially have some room for having some sort of list. I really don't know if they do. It doesn't seem like they do. It looks like they just kind of either are in a group, have a group that's secret, and or are paying people to do this. But with that other one that has over 900 reviews, I don't think they paid anybody. I think that's all natural, and the book just caught fire. And now as a result, they do have a lot of fans for their actual book. So really, at the end of the day, while it seems like it could have been manufactured, maybe the first part of it is, but it doesn't make sense that that one would get 17 and some of their other titles only have 9 and 2 reviews and so forth. So altogether, I don't think it's manufactured. I think they did have one fantastic book, and they have a lot of fans that are buying their other books and then leaving them ratings in some way, shape, or form. And I could be completely wrong. There could be a lead magnet opt-in in one of these books, and I just can't see it because it's not available on their free stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the next question. All right, so the next question is actually a suggestion from Judy Neiman. And Judy, I appreciate you making this suggestion, but Judy says, for negative keywords, I do hardback, hardcover, spiral bound, and spiral bound, which adds to Mr. D's suggestions to add these to your negative keyword list when you start a campaign. So I'm definitely going to use these, Judy. I am right now in the process of creating an actual campaign for a book that's just sat there for a long time. So I'm going to be quite aggressive on that actual campaign, and I'm going to add these to my list just to show you guys that I practice what I preach, and I also take your tips to heart and also try them. So thank you, Judy, for submitting that. I really appreciate it. I know everybody out there watching this appreciates that too. So next question is actually not a question. It's just I wanted to share this with you guys because I loved it so much. But I think this is Deb. Deb shared this picture of her cat, who actually does get fired up when I go live, especially when I salute. Even though my cat doesn't get excited, Minnie, her cat, loves to watch my YouTube videos and she gets excited, and I certainly got a hell of a kick out of this, Deb. So thanks so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. That made my day. I laughed a lot. I even showed it to my cat like, ha ha, sucker, somebody does actually like me. A heck of a lot more than you do. So thanks so much, Deb. I really appreciate that. Let's go on to the next one. This is Oliver. Oliver asks, do you have a video on how to write merch and KDP titles? So I'm going to just break it down right here because, like I said, I wanted to devote a little extra time on this video to each of these questions, and for good reasons. Now let's talk about the title. Remember, with the title on KDP, it's much different than merch. Merch, you have a little bit more room to work with, but we're going to specifically talk about KDP in this book. With the title, we can only use on the title what is written on our book. Now remember, we can cram some things in the spine of that. I usually cram them in there with the 9-inch font, and I put them on the spine of the book, and I'll use that. So that's all that we can use in the title. That's where I put any extra words in that spine that I don't want to show up on the actual cover of my book, and I'll put them in like white small font, and they'll look just fine, and I'll use them in the title. Now, anything else that I don't get to fit, I can use in the subtitle, and usually that is where I pick the bulk of my most important keywords, and I want to put in there at least 2 major keywords that I have, and the way that I gather those keywords is through those reports that I showed you that base it on PFR or SFR. So if you haven't seen those videos on PFR and SFR, that stands for purchase frequency rank, or the keywords that are actually getting sales on Amazon, or search frequency rank, which is the metric that brand analytics uses within Amazon to tell you what the most popular keywords in all of Amazon are. So I go based off of 2 of those words, and I want to make sure that my title is 100% readable. Now, I've seen a lot of subtitles where people have it and they're just not even readable. They're not even legible. They just don't make sense. They're constant cramming of keywords and all that kind of stuff. I choose to make sure that mine is very legible, very readable, and it's only got 2 major keywords, and the rest of it reads as easy as pie. So make sure that your title is as easy and luscious as pie, and you too should have a successful book on your hands, because I constantly see people cram those keywords and it looks like total trash. So make sure that's all you got to do. It's really that simple. Don't complicate too much in the actual title. The most important thing is the actual marketing aspect. All right, next question is from Julie. Julie says, great video. I learned so much. I just have one question. I'm confused about what you said concerning negative keywords. I thought that negative keywords should be phrase and not exact in order to eliminate appearing for a search phrase that uses the negative keyword. Can you explain? If you put it in as exact, I would think it would only eliminate a search that consists only of a negative keyword and no other words. All right, so great question, Julie. Let's talk about why you would always want a negative exact anything that you see, and an instance where you would negative phrase. So first and foremost, you never want to negative phrase something, because then you're going to eliminate a lot of things that you could potentially actually want in there. So what you want to do is always negative exact things, and negative exact the phrase itself. So for example, let's say I am selling pretend food on Amazon, right? And I'm selling pretend food, and the pretend food is doing quite well, but I keep on getting some phrases that add pretend food to it, and they just don't work out. It could be pretend food from McDonald's or pretend food from Barbie, something of that nature. I would never want to negative phrase the pretend food in that instance, because of the fact that it will eliminate every single phrase that includes pretend food. So in that instance, I almost always want to negative exact pretend food from McDonald's, and then negative exact pretend food from Chick-fil-A or pretend food from Barbie. Now, in the instance where I would want to negative phrase something is, say for example that my pretend food has nothing to do with Barbie whatsoever. It's not even used for Barbies themselves and or American Girl dolls. In that instance, I would negative phrase American Girls and or Barbie, because I never want to see those come up ever in my search term reports. So in that particular instance, I would use negative phrase for any major word and or a branded word. Now, in every other instance, I will use negative exact, which leads me to potentially have hundreds and hundreds and possibly even thousands of words in some instances. So that's why we use negative exact all the time, to be very specific. That way we don't allow some words that could be profitable for us sneak out of our campaigns. We almost always use negative exact, and the only instances we use negative phrases when we're dealing with a major word that keeps popping up in our reports over and over again. And most of the time, those are branded words. So hopefully that makes sense. And thanks so much for the question, Julie. And that pretty much wraps it up. I know it was short and sweet, and we didn't have a lot of questions in there, but a couple of these required extra detailed work that I had to kind of show you guys on screen, specifically the one that was spying on the llama book. So thanks so much for watching this. And if you have any questions or comments, post them below. I always personally answer them, and I'll see you all in the next video.